Can you vote early even if you originally signed up for an absentee ballot?
Yes. So, like I said, they have all of it tracked. So if you do request an absentee ballot and you decide not to use it, you can still use any other voting method. You can show up to early voting if you prefer, and then your absentee ballot will just be marked void at that point through the system.
Don't vote twice.
But don't vote twice, yeah. I love that advice, it's great.
Last one in the chat, it would be great if a hotline is set up for community members to call when in doubt about any step in the process or they encounter an issue.
Yes, so there is a hotline, which I mentioned at the very end. You can volunteer for. It's 888-U-VOTE. So I'll put it in the chat. But that is the voter hotline that you can call. Anyone can call when they have any questions. And this is such a great resource because I was actually on a call recently where someone had mentioned they were having trouble at the Board of Elections with this whole process and they couldn't figure it out. And, you know, I was thinking in my mind, like, I wish they would have known of this resource so it could have been made a little bit easier for them. So definitely send this resource out.
Those were all the questions that came to the chat.
I think, is that everyone? I think you can unmute if you have a question, yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. I raised a hand. This is Iyad Hindi. Can I? My question is just logistical. Will you provide the PowerPoint presentation and the information maybe in the chat in some form where we can reuse?
So we have our youcanvote.org/training doc. I'll put that in the chat, and that has, like, you know, all of our presentations and all of our materials that you can access there.
All right, thank you.
And I think, yeah, I see that there's another question.
Yes, can you tell me, is the you can vote is it's just a website or it is an organization, and how this related to Muslim women for?
Yeah, so You Can Vote is a nonpartisan nonprofit organization in North Carolina. So we don't back any candidates. We're really here to just register and empower voters. And we have partnered with the amazing women here at Muslim Women For. I actually knew of Muslim Women For from my time at UNCG. So I thought it would be really great to partner with them to help get out the Muslim vote and help get, you know, everyone we can in the community registered and empowered.
Okay, and where are you located?
I'm currently in Greensboro, but You Can Vote spans across all of North Carolina.
Okay, thank you.
And I also wanted to just add to what Autumn was saying, just like our collaboration and what we've been doing with You Can Vote, just because they've been holding it down across the state, and like the vote work that they've been doing, they do work like across the state, and we've also been partnering with them on some of the documents that we launched recently. They've been really helping us with the documents that we've been doing around voter registration and absentee ballots, and kind of leaning on them with that educational materials, and really helping us do that, and us kind of translating that work in Arabic. And so we're really hoping to translate some of those educational materials in other languages like Urdu and Bengali and Somali. And so we're hoping that we can continue that partnership, and hopefully translating those documents in other languages that we know is spoken by other members of our community and is really common in the Muslim community. So this partnership goes well beyond just this space. And so we thought that this would be really, really beneficial for y'all in this community. And so, but please, y'all, take this space. We have a lot more time left. So please ask all the questions you have for them. They are experts in this work. So use the chat box, and yeah, so feel free to ask any questions about absentee ballots, about voter registration, about voter suppression. And I do want to say that like Muslim Women for back in January, we did the Prayer to the Polls campaign where we went out to the mosques, the IR specifically, and the Islamic Center of Greensboro, where we took folks on buses to go register to vote. And we actually saw that Muslim women, specifically Black and brown Muslim women, were experiencing voter discouragement at the polls. So we saw poll workers specifically telling Muslim women, you know, we saw you come in here again. You know, we saw you come here before. Why are you coming here and voting? Did you vote here, you know, before? So basically discouraging them to vote. So they were having challenges during voting. And that is a practice of voter intimidation and voter discouragement that we often see in our community, and not just in the Muslim community, but communities of color often see all the time. And so I don't know if y'all want to talk about that, Autumn or Layla. You know, how do we as community leaders, as faith leaders, how do we challenge that, especially in 2020, because we know that that's going to be a problem. We're seeing that especially in the triad. I know that I'm hearing that a lot is going on in the triad in Greensboro, and I know that happens in Wake County. How do we do that as community? We have a lot of community leaders on the call right now and volunteers. How do we do that? How do we challenge that? How do we make sure especially Muslim women are not going to experience that again? And how do we make sure that they're not challenged in those ways? I'd love to bring that to the floor.
Yeah, well, first I want to say, if you have the link for the resources that you all made, they're so beautiful. I loved how they came out. It looked so good. So I think everyone should definitely take a look at those resources and share them out. But, you know, what I can offer, and I'll of course let Leela chime in as well, is I think that it is really important, you know, that education and empowerment. So taking everything that we learn in these spaces and spreading that within our community, encouraging other people in the community to come and, you know, be in these same spaces with us, learn more about the process so that they themselves can be empowered when they get, you know, to the polls. And if they were to experience something like this, they would know their rights and be able to stand up for themselves. And also being a poll worker, because then you're the person that is, you know, the link between the community and the election. So you want to make sure that we're putting in educated poll workers who are culturally competent, who know things, know right from wrong, and who, you know, can help with these processes and make sure that everyone's safe and everyone, you know, no one's rights are being taken away. So being a poll worker, I think, is something really important that we should encourage, you know, ourselves and other people, if possible, to sign up for this election.
I want to make sure until now the voter registration should be sent by mail, not online. Is that true?
No,
Or
so,
somebody can register completely online, register to vote.
you can do it completely online if you have your North Carolina's driver's license, or you can start the process online on our website, where you can like fill out the form and then we'll send it back to you, and you just sign and date it and make sure it's good, and you can send it by mail that way. So you do have the two options of doing it completely online or by paper form. Was there another question?
Also, you can fill the hard copy of the registration and take it to the election commission offices.
Yes, you can directly.
I'm sorry.
Uh-oh.
I think that the video's lagging.
I have a question. I raised my
Do you
hand.
hear me?
We can hear you now. We
No, but
weren't
my
able to hear
question,
you.
is that true or not true?
Can you ask the question again? Because we couldn't hear you very well.
Sister, I wonder if she's muted.
I think that the video is just lagging a little for her.
You can try putting your question in the chat until maybe your connection gets better.
Do we want to answer another question while we wait for her?
Yes. Can somebody?
Now you are here.
Yeah. Can you hear us now?
No, I'm not muted. Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, I don't. I do.
Is it the whole
Did you hear
group?
me, Brother Burhan? Did
Yes.
you hear me, Brother Burhan?
Yes, I can hear
Did
you.
you hear my question?
No.
I want to ask if somebody can register to vote completely online. Yes or no?
Yes. I can talk to you after this Zoom meeting and we can go over it. But you can. You can go to the website of the North Carolina DMV and they have the application, the whole process online.
Okay, that's good. Good piece of information. Thank you.
Is there any other questions?
Yes, I have a question or maybe a comment as well. So I wanted to know that this is very important information, but historically somebody like me who's been involved with this community for a long time and active in this area is bringing people to vote, absentee, early, the day of. How we can bring them from their homes? Can we have another Zoom or even a personal meeting of calls, of driving people to the polls? All of that, that is the hardest part, because I talk to people, okay, we're gonna vote. 2 months later, I ask them, they say, no, we didn't vote. So we really need to come together, scratch our brains, how we can bring them, drive them, wait at the entrance of the mosque during the early elections period. We need to figure something out to bring people.
I think that Layla and Muslim Women Forward came up with a great idea for that with their prayers to the polls.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Brother Burhan. I think it's very challenging, like mobilizing folks. It's very challenging and hard, especially right now during COVID. Things organizing and mobilizing is looking a lot different right now during COVID, not just for our community, I think overall and across communities. And I think thinking creatively of what that looks like together can be really powerful. But I think right now across the board, using phone banking and text banking and digital organizing, I think is going to be really key to get people out to vote, and making sure that we're targeting people and tapping people several times and calling them and and I think just like acknowledging the reality that like organizing is very different, that we're not going to be able to do our prayer to the polls this year, right? Not being able to go to the mosque and do tabling anymore at Jummah. It's just not the reality anymore. You know, I went last Friday to Jummah to go out and, you know, talk to the imam and give out our Arabic translation flyers, and they're just not at the same capacity, and it's just not the same, because there is a fear of going and being face to face with people. We went to the halal markets and gave out our translation flyers, and we're doing what we can, but we're also acknowledging that we want to keep our staff safe, we want to keep our volunteers safe, and we want to keep our community safe. But we are also trying to figure out how can we use our digital world, our social media, and also our tools and our funding support and what we can. So that kind of brings me to tell you our volunteer opportunities, if I can, at this moment, since you brought that up. So we have another opportunity coming up, and this is why we wanted to bring you together today to do this training, because we thought the most important thing is we want to make sure that you all know, what does the voting process look like in North Carolina right now, right? How do we get people registered to vote? We need to make sure we at least know, what does the absentee ballot process look like in North Carolina? We at least need to be knowledgeable to be able to answer some questions. If we're phone banking, if we're text banking, we get a really weird question that we don't know what to answer, we at least know, how to answer it. But our first phone banking opportunity is coming up next Saturday at 6 p.m. It's a 2-hour slot. We are partnering with one of our major partners. It's a Muslim women group in Virginia, actually. Justice Muslims Collective. We thought it would be super cool to do some coalition building with our partner in Virginia. We are having someone come. She's a DJ. Her name is Durakshan. So we're going to be doing a phone banking party for 2 hours long, and we are going to be paying our volunteers $15 an hour. So we are paying people to do phone banking, y'all. That's going to be super cool. So we're not asking you to come and do free phone banking. We are paying our people to do phone banking. We know that it's your time, right? We're asking you to come and give your time to phone bank. And we are gonna have a large list that we're gonna go through, and we're gonna phone bank for 2 hours long, and we're gonna be listening to music, and we're gonna be with our partner. Our partners in Virginia are gonna be phone banking too. So this is gonna be a list of Muslims across North Carolina that we're gonna be hitting for our first phone bank, and across North Carolina. So that's our first phone bank. So watch out for that. For this Saturday from 6 to 8, inshallah. So our flyers are going to come out soon, and it'll be really, really fun.
Is this tomorrow?
No, sorry. Saturday the 26th. So next Saturday, not tomorrow. Next Saturday, we're hoping to have the whole week before that. Our staff, we're hiring 3 organizers, along with our we hired a civic engagement coordinator, Sanjida. She's on the line. She's hiring, along with the staff at Muslim Women 4, we're hiring 3 other organizers who are going to be helping us text banking throughout the month, for the list that I was talking about. We're going to be contacting 19 mosques across North Carolina. So we're going to be doing some major phone banking and text banking and digital organizing. And we're going to be having another major phone bank next month as well. So hitting major lists. And another thing that we're really thinking about is sending out mailers to Muslims across North Carolina as well, Muslim voters, making sure that they have these documents, and also thinking about what people's priorities are right now. So people are not, to be real with y'all, people are not only thinking about voting right now, right? People are thinking about survival and thinking about this pandemic. So we're trying to build relationships. We're trying to think about people's needs, and what people's needs is masks, is hand sanitizers. So when we're sending out information about voting, information about absentee ballots, we're hoping to also send masks and hand sanitizers to people's homes as well. So that's our plan, but we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. But watch out for the phone bank that's going to be happening next Saturday. We'll definitely be sending it out to y'all. But yeah, definitely sign up for it. It'll be such a fun time, and you get to meet some folks in Virginia, in the DMV area. They're super cool, super awesome. But yeah, I hear you, Brother Burhan. It's hard, it's challenging, but we're trying to pivot as much as we can, and in creative ways, hopefully. I hope that answers your question, and sorry for talking a lot.
Oh, that's very good. Thank you, guys.
Does anyone else have any questions or thoughts? And also, we have a couple of minutes. We're gonna hopefully end at 7, but I'd love to pose the question to also, I know we have some imams and volunteers and other leaders, what do y'all need from us? How can we support y'all? Is it more translations, of educational materials? Is it how can we help the Muslim community? Because yes, we do work, right? We know, we kind of can get a sense of what our community needs, but what do y'all need? What do our community needs that we might be missing?
This is Iyad. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Just a quick question, maybe in answering your question. I think what we probably need are some of the tools that can enable us to reach our individual networks. We've been doing this for years, but it's sort of ad hoc. We just pick up the phone, we look through our contact list, families, etc. So it sort of was more of an ad hoc process. What you guys can bring to this process is more of an organized approach on how to do that. That's, I feel, at least is one thing that would be great contribution from your side. Like I've heard Zainab talk about, there are some apps, some, you track your contact, etc. That sort of thing. So what's out there that can help in this regard, so that it would be a more organized sort of personal phone banking, if you will,
Yeah.
to our networks.
That's such a good point. And I love that you bring that up, because this is actually the first year we're actually kind of using that process and are able to do that. And I really hear you, and I'm super excited that we're able to do that. And the only reason that we're able to do that is quite honestly because of funding, to be honest. Before that, we were out of pocket, right? We didn't have like all of this amazing support and ability to have access to like Hustle, right? Or Van, or tools like Outvote. I mean, I'm sure You Can Vote can feel me about that, right? Like they're a group here, and we all feel that as organizations, grassroots group, that without this funding support, we would not be able to have access to Hustle and Van. And when you have access to Van, you have access to like the voter file, and you're able to create lists and turf, and able to have access to tools like Hustle, where you can actually generate lists and like have like massive lists of phone banks and things like that. And a cool tool like Outvote, where like you can actually, it can generate a list of your own contacts and do peer-to-peer texting versus friend-to-friend texting, which is super cool. So I want to say that we're actually trying this out, and we're hoping that we can, I'm actually like asking for your compassion and grace as we're learning as well. And we're trying this out and seeing what works and what doesn't, and really learning from this process. And it's an interesting year to be learning and hoping to grow with you. And so that's why we're asking for your feedback and support. And we're hoping to take this beyond 2020. So it's not about elections, right? It's really not about elections. Yes, this is an important moment and an important election, and a lot is at stake, and we hope to win, and we hope to come out of it very victorious for our people in our community, because there's going to be a lot of harm done if we do not win. And we've seen that in the past 4 years, and we can't, right? We can't do another 4 years. And I feel that, and I hear you, but we know that also it's not about elections. And we're hoping that these tools and data that we collect we can use for the next 5, 10, 20 years for our people in our community, because we do know it's not just about the elections. That when it comes to oppression and systemic racism and Islamophobia, anti-Muslim racism, it goes far beyond that. And that's why we're grassroots and why we're community-based. So I hear you, and I'm happy, and I'm really glad that you brought that up. So thank you. And someone else put in the chat, what a possibility of considering Islamic Center as voting centers. Absolutely, I think that would be amazing. And I think that would be a great way and great kind of great places, and I think would encourage our people, and I think would actually be places where our people would feel much more safer to go and vote. And I would also like to see if that was done in other places, like in other states, and would actually like wonder how other Muslims felt going and voting in mosques and Islamic centers. So I think that would be really great. So anyone else have other?
I have another question, but I don't, unless there are others, I don't want to be hogging.
I have one, but I can wait after you. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, just a quick one. I do realize from the answers that when we do phone banking and so on, we cannot be recommending one party over the other. How can we separate the two? I mean, we feel, some of us, maybe the majority of us, very strongly regarding, I mean, you just said it, there is a lot riding on these elections. We don't want to just be calling people, encouraging people to vote. That's good, but we want to encourage them to vote a specific way. So how can we separate the two efforts? I mean, I know through friends and family, you know, I could be open, but it seems that through the phone banking you're organizing, we cannot do that. Could you explain, you know, the divide here?
Yeah, and I definitely don't want to be the only person responding to this question, and anybody else could also you know, provide thoughts and feedback, but I'll respond to that. And I want, you know, Brother Iyad, I think it's super important, you know, C4 work and partisan work. I want to say it's super important when it comes to doing this work in the Muslim community, and not just at a presidential federal level, but at a local level as well, in DA races and sheriff races, you know, all levels of top, you know, from the top to the bottom of the ballot. I wish and I aspire that Muslim Women for comes to this level where we can start doing that work. But unfortunately, at this moment, because of our C3 status, we just can't do that. It's just illegal for us to do that. But maybe what I vision, maybe right now in this moment, and from what I know, from how the dynamics of our groups, and maybe one particular group I know is able to do that, kind of the pack of the Muslim community could kind of take that lead, right, of actually recommending groups or recommending candidates for the Muslim community, which they've already done, right? MAPAC, for example. And I think like they can kind of take the lead on doing that work. And I think that's quite possible, right? And I can totally kind of connect them to, and kind of help connect them to those tools and resources to be able to do that work, if that's helpful, to be able to do the phone banking, to be able to do the text banking. So I see that's where that kind of the divide happens, and I think that's totally fine and reasonable. But I think in this moment, I don't think Muslim Women for is going to be able to lead that part of the work of like, you know, doing the coordinated, more candidate, like race work. Yeah, that's kind of that's where we're at right now. But maybe in elections coming up in 2022 or 2024, maybe that might change for Muslim Women for. But right now, that's kind of where the challenge is right now. But kind of understanding where the power lies and where the dynamic is, and where groups are able to do that work, is I think what we have to consider.
Yeah, and I think a way to kind of work around that is, you know, just reminding people, like Layla said, you know, there are local races that really matter. There are ways to connect, you know, issues that people care about to voting, you know, and just like reminding people, like, I know you care so much about this, that, and the other as a peer, like, just know that's going to be up for election. Everything you care about is going to be on the ballot this election. So I think that's a really good incentive to just, you know, kind of connect people's hopes and dreams and, you know, things like that to what's going to be going on.
Let me say something and correct me if I am wrong, all of you. I do believe that the organization cannot endorse candidates, but me and you and her as individuals, we can pick the phone and say, well, this is Layla Ali, and I recommend that you vote for this. Am I right or not?
Yeah, you're right. Individuals can do whatever they want,
Yeah,
right? Like
so
they that. Yeah.
So as long as you don't invoke the name of the organization and you don't claim on the conversation that you are speaking for the organization, you can do that.
Yeah, it's a separate call though. And I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It has to be. I agree with you. I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought that up. Yeah, it has to be a separate call.
Other ones has a question probably.
Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
And thank you so much for putting so much effort and time in putting this together. I admire you. You guys are wonderful, energetic, organized. My question is, MAPAC for the last 18 years have came up with a list of endorsement. One of the challenges that we have every year is having the correct outlet to send, I guess, to the community. And we are stuck with the local community. People move in and out, people drop out, drop in. How can we collaborate with you guys to get our endorsement out to the community across the state? Because some of the candidates that we have, we are going to endorse are already on national level and a state level. So Greensboro, Wake Forest, Raleigh, all the other cities could vote for. So how can we collaborate in an efficient manner? Because again, like you said, it's going to be a long-term project where we can collaborate for further down the road. So what can you do when we have the endorsement list at the end of this month to be sent out to the community?
Yeah, again, that's very challenging in terms of collaboration because you all are definitely kind of, when it comes to kind of endorsed candidates, specifically when y'all are kind of endorsing candidates from a particular party. And I'm assuming you all kind of endorse candidates specifically from the Democratic Party. And I haven't looked at the candidate list that you all are endorsing. But it kind of comes, the line is very blurry there because we are a nonpartisan kind of C3 organization. So the collaboration, that doesn't mean that the collaboration cannot happen at all. But for example, the collaboration can happen when, for example, you're throwing kind of like a town hall or a candidates forum, and you, for example, are inviting all the candidates that are running, right, for a particular district. And these are candidates that are from the Republican and Democratic side, right? And you're inviting us to speak, right? But you've literally put an effort to invite all sides, right? And so that we would be able to come and represent and be able to like reach out to folks from our network and say, hey, y'all, this is happening. This is a candidates forum, come out, right? So that's one thing that we could totally, no questions asked, collaborate. So that's one example. But if you're coming out with a candidates list of endorsement and you're asking us, can you like do a phone bank or like reach out to your email listserv and send out this candidate list that of endorsement and send out, that's when we're like, oh, can't do that, right?
Yep.
So that's really hard.
We are a non-partisan group. So we endorse both sides. Republicans, independents, unaffiliated Democrats, whoever is willing to work with the Muslim community, trying to advance our goals, protect our civil rights. That's the ones we endorse. So it's not purely Democrats, mostly Democrats. We just want to get. We are trying to empower the Muslim community, not just myself. This is not for me, you know.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. It's more of like. When you're actually coming into like the area of like working with candidates on like a coordinated level, doing that coordinated work in terms of like supporting candidates, whether they're from any party, that's when we're not able to kind of collaborate because we're not able to do that work at this moment. But that could change when we are able to do that. Then that collaboration is we're able to do that. Unfortunately, but that could change. Hopefully, we're hoping that could change as Muslim Women for. But right now, we're not able to. We don't work with candidates at all, like in terms of endorsing candidates, supporting them. So, for example, we don't volunteer. We don't send volunteers to candidates. We don't support them on that level. We don't mobilize our volunteers for any certain candidates. That kind of support, we don't endorse them or anything like that. unfortunately. I hope that answers your question for right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, so like if you found yourself, working with Muslim Women for during the phone banking, Leila put some really great sources in the chat where, you can help people, like guide them to finding those types of resources on their own. So she put it in the chat, like the What's on the Ballot, vote411.org, which has like candidate overviews and things like that. So like she said, when you're representing Muslim Women for, you'll have to keep the nonpartisan guise, but you can still, share out these resources to help people, educate themselves and make those decisions on their own. So I'll definitely recommend those for sure. And then even before phone banking, if anyone wanted to get more information about the voting process and just get a refresher so that you can feel confident going into those phone calls, we do twice weekly voter empowerment trainings. So I'll put the link in the chat where you can sign up for those. But I think it would be great to maybe attend a training before you start the calls with Muslim Women for, so that you can feel confident if anyone asks you guys questions and things like that. So I put that in the chat for y'all.
Yeah, for sure. And then before during the phone banking on Saturday, we will definitely have we'll have a brief training before we actually do the phone banking, because sometimes we expect folks, they've never had like a phone banking experience before. So we'll definitely kind of go through what does a phone banking look like, what questions you might have, because you're kind of on live with people on the phone. So sometimes like people have questions like what might come, but there's also a script that you'll have in front of you as you're doing the phone banking. So it's usually a pretty solid, interesting experience. So nothing to be scared of. And usually our community is so sweet and so nice. So it was going to be super cool. But we have come to our time. And this has been super, super awesome. And I know that there might be still a lot of questions. Awesome desk, by the way, Brother Burhan. I love your desk.
Oh, I just discovered this function. I've been trying to do something.
No, really cool, really cool. You have a lot of work,
Oh, you got it.
I guess. But again, thank y'all so much for showing up, and for everyone who sat through the training and sat through with us through the whole entire thing. Really appreciate y'all, and I really hope that you found this to be beneficial. And thank you to Autumn and Leila from You Can Vote for presenting. Y'all were so amazing, and just a star team, through the chat and through the presentation. Really, really enjoyed y'all. Thank you for just helping us out and being here with us. And thank y'all for the questions. I know y'all probably have still a lot of questions, so please feel free to reach out to us through text or through email. Let us know how we can still answer your questions offline. And I know y'all are you still might have some questions about collaboration around nonpartisan C4 work versus C3. Still happy to answer, still happy to think it through about some collaboration efforts, how we can still collaborate and partner. There's always some ways we can we can figure it out. It's all good. And definitely look out for the volunteer opportunity coming up next week. I think it'll be so dope, so fun, y'all. It's going to be so lit. So definitely look out for that. And again, thank y'all so much. This was so awesome. Yeah, and have a great weekend, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.